Golf Smarter, number 674, is brought to you by TGW, the sweetest spot in golf. The 20% off exclusive sale on selected apparel for Golf Smarter listeners is still on. But if you're going to take advantage of this offer, you better log on now from our link at golfsmarter.com or go to tgw.com/golfsmarter, and you'll land on a page that gets you directly to all the sale items being offered. I've talked about all the details on those things enough so you can go and look for yourself. But as all things come to a close, so is this exclusive offer. This is the last time I get to tell you about the TGW 20% off apparel sale because it ends February 5, 2019 at 11:59 p.m. Central Time. Of course, some exclusions apply, nor can this discount be combined with other discount offers. Due to manufacturer policies, some other items may also be excluded. And this includes all Titleist, FootJoy, Under Armour items, and select Nike items. To see all the apparel that qualify for our 20% off sale, go to tgw.com/golfsmarter. Again, that's tgw.com/golfsmarter, or click on the link in today's show notes or their ad at golfsmarter.com. Kenny Perry, Stewart Cink, Zack Johnson, and Jordan Spieth from Hawaii on their mental approach to the game with Cary Valentine.
This is Golf Smarter, sharing stories, tips, and insights from great golf minds to help you lower your score and raise your golf IQ. Here's your host, Fred Green.
Welcome back to the Golf Smarter podcast, Cary.
It's awesome to be here, Fred. Aloha.
Aloha, my friend. Calling back to the islands. It's great to hear from you again. Last year, you blessed us with some amazing tape. You will go out to the Sony Open while it's in Hawaii, and you get yourself inside the ropes so you can talk to some of these pros, right?
Yes, it is quite a wonderful gift to be able to speak with them and have their time and their true kind of responses to the mental game, because that's what I really focus in on. And, as you'll hear, a number of them offer some quite great insight into their mind, into their mindset and how they play the game of golf.
I'm so grateful that you are able to do that and share it with us. You get some pretty interesting stuff. Did you do this during the tournament, or was this on at the driving range? How did you approach these guys?
Yes. So, before the tournament starts, there's a number of days where they're practicing and doing pro-ams. So in those kind of experiences before the tournament starts, I talk with them and then, ask them if they're open to do an interview. And hardly ever, whenever I approach someone, have they ever said no. Wow. I don't think actually anyone has ever said no, as long as they have the time in that moment. And that's always really, I'm very impressed with that, Fred, because of just what's involved in these guys' lives and who they, all that's involved and what's happening. And yet they're definitely open to share very candidly their inner world with me, which I'm very grateful for. So this can be, I think, a great piece for our listeners to kind of, in a sense, reboot their year of golf, starting off the year off right here to take some and glean some tips for their own self to have a better year in golf.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And not everybody either understands what you're talking about or addresses it the way you're hoping. And we'll hear from we'll hear that later. I think Jordan Spieth didn't give you a whole lot of time, and I don't even think he understood the question. But we'll look into that later.
Yes.
So again, do you do this during tournament day or on Wednesday during a pro-am? When do you do this?
Yeah. So I'm there at the beginning part of the week on Mondays.
Oh,
so
okay.
What I do is between Monday and Wednesday before the tournament started. And so I catch them at the driving range or, and I'll have a chance to talk to them at that point or on their way to finishing up their practice round to then go play actually, in a practice round or after they're finished a practice round. So it's just kind of like, let me just share a piece here too. That's a personal piece that really may be interesting or not, but like coming from New York and my ways of the past to kind of like, have this intention. I'm going to get this interview and like, almost force it in a way. This, for the number of years, I've been setting more intentions, using my mental mindset into setting an intention, but allowing the opportunity to happen. Like I had a list of players that I wanted to get interviews with. And I just looked at that list and kind of thought about those players during the day and just said, the perfect opportunity is going to show up for me to ask them to do an interview. And Fred, each one of these, it happened. But you got to take the moment when it happens as well. Like just, okay, boom, there they are. We're crossing paths. Hey, I'm Cary, and then go right into it. But I want to say from that, it brings a relaxed state of being where, again, for me, is interviewing them or being on the golf course, applying these kind of techniques that I share about it and talk with folks about, it brings that sense of calm and peace and in the zone.
So interesting.
Without anxiety, without nervousness. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like I'm applying what I'm sharing with golfers for them to play on the golf course as I'm, doing these interviews. And it's the same thing because this works in life on and off the golf course. So it's a fabulous techniques that, I'm sharing with folks as well. But as I'm doing these interviews with the players, I'm not so much a mental game coach at that moment. I'm simply an interviewer and kind of trying to glean where their heads are at and how they work as individuals.
I was listening to a podcast at the end of 2018, and somebody was asked about their resolutions for the new year. Mm-hmm. And I just found it so interesting that the woman talked about how she doesn't do resolutions because her therapist told her that to-do lists are just setting her up to fail. That this woman is like, she beats herself up if she doesn't get everything done. And by doing a resolution, again, you're setting yourself up to fail, because as soon as you get to a point where you're like, I'm going to skip it today, you're pretty much done with your resolution. So what she was doing is for 2019, she was setting her intentions. Mm-hmm. And that way that you don't disappoint yourself. You can't fail at it, but you just got to keep it as a mindset. And I think that was so powerful for me, especially for my golf game. Uh-huh.
And what insight did you see or change for you for using that kind of mindset there?
It's a way of not beating myself up if I don't achieve what my resolution is or what's on my to-do list, but just know that, okay, I'm going to get that done when I can. And if it doesn't go exactly as I planned, that's okay. My intent is there. As long as the intention is sincere, I'm okay.
Yes. And if I can share an idea with you on that regarding on the golf course,
sure.
It's with a lot of players that I work with, each person's kind of different of how they approach that kind of idea of intentions. Some are don't hold anything at all and they just go out and play their best. Mm-hmm. Other players look at and break up the golf course in a series of 3 holes, mm-hmm. or 4 holes, and then they're kind of like, okay, so what, or actually. Not 3 or 4, but more 3 or 6. And then in that first 3 holes, in that first 6 holes, where do they want to be? What their score is and how do they want to play? And this keeps a focus and intention. But the key is you're cueing into it is no matter where they are at the end of, let's say, the 3 holes or the 6 holes, then they reboot and it's just like start over. And just let go of whatever happened or didn't happen and restart. But this helps kind of focus in, kind of taking the big picture of 18 holes and kind of breaking it down into pieces and kind of like really holding their intention for a shorter periods of time.
So let's back up a little bit and talk, get a reminder of why you're doing this.
For sure.
What is your intention for getting to go and interview these guys?
Okay.
Beyond Golf Smarter, of course.
Yeah, a great question. So for me, it's continuing growing in the kind of inner game of golf. And I've developed a system called Champion Your Inner Game and sharing it with professional golfers as well as amateurs. Presently, I'm the mental game coach for the University of Louisiana at Lafayette, or they're more commonly known as the Raging Cajuns. And it's been fantastic to share this information with the golfers and see them take it on. And what thoroughly excites me to work with athletes is because they know and understand that their game or their sport, or for them to compete is a finite time. So they're like ready to take things on and see if they're going to improve in their life or not. Versus when I work with people who are maybe less competitive, sometimes they're not as eager and thirsty and hungry to transform. So it excites me to work with these players, and what I've seen, and they have shared with me the results, and we've started to see amazing results on and off the golf course, where previously they would have anxiety, they would get pissed off at shots that were not going where they wanted to, and now they're more relaxed. The ball, they're willing the ball where they want it to go. And so many of them are saying they're excited to be playing golf again, where it became such a grind for them, because of so many years competing, and they put a lot of pressure on themselves. They're enjoying the journey of playing golf again. And the results are playing out for them, which is fantastic.
And I think we established this last time. You don't play golf, right?
I play a little bit.
Oh, you're starting to play now.
Yes. Yes. I was like, it's time I, get in the game and understand what I'm working with these golfers on. So yes, and that's what's really exciting for me, Fred, is that even though I would consider myself a very novice player, I'm using these techniques on myself and intending where the targets I want the ball to go to. And it's happening more times than not. And it's like, this is amazing. It's, beyond the game of golf, just the power of our mind and our will and our soul to like intend things and then see them play out. And this is playing out here, obviously, using this for the game of golf. And you mentioned something that I've noticed and fascinated with, that everyone talks about golf as a mental game. And yet not everyone is willing to take themselves on mentally. And when I say mentally, that is to deal with their emotions and to also truly know that, like, unlock and unleash the power that's lying dormant in their mind to access in a way to achieve greatness. And and so many would say, like, well, I tried this or that, and the doubts came up or things like that, so I pulled away from it. So I don't put so much intensity or focus or intention on my play anymore. And I say, okay, well, that's one way to look at it. But another way to look at it is, if you have the right tools and understand why doubts, fears, and insecurities come up, they're truly here to help you achieve your greatest potential. They're not here to harm you. But then you need to incorporate some tools here to assist you. And if you do, you'll have amazing results. And if you don't, you don't. It's really a fascinating piece where each person each person's willing or not willing. And I would say, from looking at so many golfers over the history of golf. The twos really stand out, that will that ball into the hole, and I would say is Arnold Palmer and Tiger Woods, more than any other player.
Fascinating.
And I think, and they have said themselves that at events, certain times, their play was not up to par, literally. And yet they willed the ball into the hole, and it happened. And to me, it just shows what's potential. And I think more golfers, if they took on that idea and had... I think a lot of golfers try to, what I call mentalize their feelings. What I would say is that's kind of like take your feelings and just kind of mentally override them, and kind of like, I'm not being bothered. I'm not going to allow myself to be bothered by my doubts kind of idea. And so they're kind of what I say, pushing them under the rug. The approach I look at is, don't push them under the rug at all. Embrace them, let them in. It's kind of like let that energy come into you, and realize that if you're on the 18th hole of a championship and you're about to win, and you're ready to putt in this 3-foot or 4-foot birdie putt, let's say, and you hear, oh, you're going to blow this, and you've done this so many times, and you're gonna blow this putt. What it's really saying, you got to learn to turn the doubts inside out, and they're the exact opposite is what's really happening. So what's happened is that when you hear you're going to blow this putt, it's really saying, take a breath. You're about to achieve success at a whole new level. And I'm checking your resolve to make sure you trust and believe and know that in yourself. And if then you have that sense and you catch that doubt when it comes up, and you translate it, and you don't bite into it and get affected by it, and you actually breathe into it, you accept that doubt came up, and you realize it's trying to help you. There's some other pieces to this too, but then you're calmly, go hit your putt, and you intend it, and it goes right into the hole, and achieve the success versus you don't. And I want to say something that I'm kind of vulnerable to share, but I'm not doing it as a judgment. I'm doing it as kind of a learning piece and a wonderment. And my wonderment is just watching, Phil Mickelson. And to me, like there's something, he comes so close so many times to winning, but then doesn't. And to me, that's not just happenstance. To me, there's something going on there. And as I said, I'm not making a judgment. I'm certainly not putting him down by any means. If anything, I'm raising the question because he's such an amazing player to raise his game up to that level where he should be winning more than coming into second place. Do you know what I'm meaning?
I think so. I don't know if I necessarily agree with it, but I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, just so many times.
But that's golf too. You just, golf is parody. When it comes to sports, golf is parody at its very best. And if there's any discussion of whether or not you're in Hawaii or not, if Aloha didn't tip off the listener, I think the birds that we're hearing behind you
yes.
are not somebody's phone ringing. Those are real tropical birds on a tropical island.
Yes, they are.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Yes.
But I got to say that this episode of the Golf Smarter podcast is brought to you by Peter Millar, which was founded in 2001 with a single cashmere sweater. They've grown into a premium American lifestyle brand featuring a wide range of casual sportswear, tailored menswear, and luxury performance golf apparel. Peter Millar's comfort, fit, and style are setting the standard in menswear. Now, because you're a golfer, you probably know the name. If you don't know, how is that possible? If you've ever played in a charity tournament or even stepped into a pro shop, especially when you're traveling, you'll notice that the best logoed shirts are usually the ones with the Peter Millar label. That's because Peter Millar is all about quality, value, and style. Right now, I'm actually wearing my 5-pocket pants from Peter Millar. I'm kind of a 5-pocket guy, you know. If I'm not on the golf course, I can usually be found wearing a classic 5-pocket jeans. But what I love about these Peter Millar pants is they offer so much comfort and style that they're even acceptable on the golf course, as long as they're not dark blue, right? They're lightweight, highly breathable, made of the highest quality Pima cotton, and have comfort stretch for ease of movement. And like your favorite jeans, the Peter Millar 5-pocket pants have the style to be worn anywhere. They can be worn year-round since they're machine washable and they're easy to take care of. I never have to worry about what to wear on any occasion because I have Peter Millar in my closet. And right now, you can head over to petermillar.com/golfsmarter to check out some of my Peter Millar favorites. Be sure to use my link and you'll receive complimentary shipping and a free hat. That's petermillar.com, MILLAR, petermillar.com/golfsmarter. Thanks so much, Cary. Hey, let's start talking about the guys that you spoke to. We
Sure.
have some tape to share. You have Kenny Perry, Zack Johnson, Stewart Cink. Like I mentioned, we have a little bit from Jordan Spieth, and you also have Aniban Lahiri. So let's start with a topic that you were asking them about, and we have different answers from 3 of these guys. We're going to start with Kenny Perry, and we're talking about nerves and anxiety when playing golf. And here's Kenny Perry.
Well, you got to welcome the nervousness. To me, I never did welcome it. I never did enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I still get nervous, but I know to me when I'm nervous, I know to me it means something. You know what I'm saying? I care about it. And they should feel nervous. And they should feel anxious. And they should feel a lot of these feelings. But they need to embrace these feelings and say, hey, this is the way I'm going to feel. And that's a good thing, not a bad thing.
Here's an interesting piece from Zack Johnson. He was talking about how you were asking him about what do amateurs do with jitters.
I would hope they have butterflies. I mean, that means that one, it kind of means something, and two, you know what? I mean, it's a sport. I mean, it should require some jitters and emotions and get your body going. I mean, you know, if you're out there and it's pretty stoic and callous, you know, you may want to reconsider another hop to go to a different endeavor. But I think the bottom line is the game's really, really hard. So let's have an expectation of just having fun, hitting solid shots, enjoying the social aspect of it, and the fact that you're outside playing a great game.
And now we'll go to Stewart Cink, again, talking about nerves and anxiety and anxiousness, and he's talking about the pressure and the need to perform. Here's Stewart Cink.
I think the number one thing that kids, and my own kids, are right in the middle of that age group, 21, 25.
Yes.
But the best thing for them to learn is that you'll perform better no matter what you're trying to do if you remove the attachment to needing to perform. You know?
Yes.
If you
Yes.
set everything
Yes.
up in your life to where you are pursuing something all the time that's not related to your performance will be better. When you need it, it creates, you can't have one without the other. When you have a need, then you have a fear of not getting it. And when you have that fear of not getting it, that drags you down.
So, Cary, our next topic that you bring up with them, not something that a lot of people talk about on the golf course, let alone talk to the press about it on a golf course, pros, and that's talking about their faith and how it influences their lives and their game. Tell me a little bit about why you approach this topic with them.
A few reasons. One is I see that a difference when I work with golfers and they have a connection with what I would call the divine. Now that could be, certain religion in a way, but it's recognizing there's something greater, bigger outside of us that we can access, we can call forth, and to help us in playing golf as well as with our life. So I have found gingerly, when I work with different golfers and find out that they're open in their world, in their life, to connecting with the divine. Now, I use it broadly, purposely, because that can be something people connect with, that divine nature. Some people connect with a religious aspect of, let's say, God. The key that I have noticed is when someone is accessing and calling forth, Fred, something bigger than them to help them on the golf course be more precise, that there's a lot more at ease and success that can come from that. So when I know of certain golfers that are open to this in their life, then I'll talk to them about it. And so that's why I did with the players I did here.
All right, well, let's start off here. Again, this is Zack Johnson on his faith.
Your faith, which it is in my case, the number one important priority in my life, it's in everything. It doesn't matter what, if it's on the golf course or off the golf course. So the fact that the Bible can transcend anything and get inside the ropes with me is phenomenal, and the way I see it, imperative. I love the fact that there's so many scriptures that deal with lessening of fears, lessening of worries, lessening of temporal things, and more focus on eternal things. And for me, that's the perspective I desire when I'm playing, whether it's hitting one shot or playing 18 holes.
And now let's hear what Stewart Cink has to say about how he incorporates his faith.
When I have something that distracts me and I hit an anyway shot,
Yes.
it's almost always because I'm putting the results in front of anything else that I really want to achieve. And my life is not set up around making birdies and bogeys anymore like it used to be. You know, I'm trying to foster my relationship with Jesus Christ. Yeah. That's what I'm out here doing. That's what I'm at home trying to do. Yeah. That's what I'm waking up in the morning trying to do. That's how my wife and I are trying to live our lives.
Not trying, but doing it.
Yeah.
You're doing it.
I'm doing it, and when I have one of those anyway shots, that's a clear example that I've put the results ahead of it. And it's so easy. It's so... Thanks, bud. It's tantalizing, it's seducing, and it's so easy to be drawn into being in the results-oriented way, because that's the way the world says that every one of us out here, Paul Casey, all these guys, you know, all of us are told that we need to have results in order to be like validated or our identity or whatever, you know. Yes. And if you listen to the world, then it's impossible not to.
Yes.
And so those moments, there are fewer than they used to be, because most of the guys out here, and Stewart Cink too, you know, I never even realized it was happening. Until a couple years ago, and I kind of had this moment where I felt like a light bulb came on, and I realized that, what are you after? And I was after birdies and bogeys and position and how I compared to the other guys out here and money and all that stuff. And I decided there was a different way to live that's a lot better. And it really translated for me on the golf course, because it's completely freed me up to be closer to the person I want to be when I'm playing golf, instead of golf deciding what kind of person I'm going to be.
And now, Kenny Perry.
Well, I mean, I've always put Jesus first, and it's been real easy for me. You know, he's in control of my life, so now if I just kind of leave it over to him, I'm still human. I still want to try to do it myself, but the more I relax and more let him take control, it just seems like the more easier my game is.
Oh, but Stewart Cink has some more to say.
I definitely see doubts as a way of the body or subconscious kind of like getting your attention for some reason. I don't always know what that attention is, but usually for me, it's that that I feel like God's presence is, He wants us to invite Him in so bad, and yet I think most of us keep this wall around us all the time. And when we open the door, we feel God's presence. That's when we're able to be our true selves, and like you know, in your words, achieve peak performance. I mean, that's when we really can. And when I have doubts, that's what I use that as a signal to me saying that you got the door closed. And so I understand what you mean. I think what happens is doubt creates like a domino effect of like psychological emotions.
Right, and that heavy feeling.
It's not just the doubt that doubt's not what it is. It's the doubt that leads to how you feel about yourself, how you feel about you compared to others, and then, you know, are you afraid you're going to fail? And then how are you going to feel about your failure? It's step, and it's the end result that you really feel afraid of, and that's when you shy back, and that's when you hurt yourself.
And you can imagine the faith is a little bit different, but still important. Here is Aniban Lahiri.
understanding that, you're always going to be in the process. There's one process where you try to stay connected to yourself, obviously, which is what you try and do through meditation and through other sources of mental training. But you're also in the process of kind of living out your life. And to a large extent, I'm not a fatalist, but I definitely believe in going through what I need to do the best I can do, and then accepting. I think acceptance of the outcome. And I say outcome because it could be a positive or negative result, but it's just an outcome at the end of the day, and you have to accept it in the most, you have to embrace it. It's not just acceptance, you have to embrace it, whether it's a win or a miscut. And I think that is the only thing that can take you forward. And to understand how that works, you need to have a certain level of consciousness or a certain level of awareness about yourself. And that's, Vipassana or meditation helps you get to that point. Because otherwise, you're stuck in a reaction cycle instead of being in an action cycle.
We talk about the mental game. We talk about having a strong mental game when you're playing golf, but some also suggest that a strong emotional game is important. And it's all about attitude. And you asked a couple. We have Aniban and Stewart Cink both talking about attitude on the golf course. Were you surprised by anything that you heard from them on this?
I was with Stewart. How he spoke about sometimes he'll kind of shut off for one stroke or two, and he noticed how that affects him in his overall, determination or end result. Mm-hmm. And I think he gave a really valuable insight into that in his response.
Right. And then the final topic I want to cover about some of this footage tape that you sent to me, the recordings, is just on setting your own goals and also advice to young golfers, especially young golfers coming up on the tour because there's so many of them. Do you believe that being goal-oriented like this on a golf course is important, or is it a distraction? Can it work against you?
I think it's very helpful, and I think a great example of that is Justin Thomas when he had on his phone his goals that he had for, I think it was 2017, and here he was pretty new on the tour, and he had major goals, and he succeeded at those goals. And so there is something to be said to write down your goals, and even, just simply writing them down and looking at them. There's science that proves that, that kind of proves this. It says you're more apt to achieve those goals than not writing them down, because when you write them down, you access your subconscious mind, and it's literally starts to go to work for you like a minion to achieve those goals. And yes, the more you put time and energy into it, the more you have a chance and will succeed at what you want, Fred.
All right, here we have Aniban Lahiri on goals.
You can set goals for sure, but I feel you have to set two goals. You set long-term goals or yearly goals or 5-yearly goals. Mm-hmm. And then you set mini goals, stuff that is measurable, that's tangible, that you can say, okay, I improved. Or so you play games, or you kind of, measure in your own mind, I won't say necessarily progress, but the work you're putting in. So that's very important, because that gives you perspective of where you're moving.
And here's Zack Johnson with a little piece of advice on whether you can or can't control what's going to happen.
Control what you can control. Mm-hmm. And that means everything from how you walk, how you talk, how you walk into the ball, how many swings you take, how many looks you take. Things you can control. Glove face hits the ball. After that, it's irrelevant.
And one more time, here's Stewart Cink. Cary, this stuff is so good, and I really appreciate you sharing it with us. I mean, you're not doing this for us, you're doing it for yourself, but the fact that we get to hear it and share it with others, I think, is not only valuable, it's also incredibly helpful, and that's the whole point. Thank you so much. Let's not forget. All right, Jordan Spieth. Now, Jordan Spieth, I mean, like, we've talked about goals and attitudes and faith and anxiety, but Jordan Spieth, it's like you're asking him about how he sets his focus. And I think that you are asking about the mental game, and that's not how he interpreted it. Let's listen to Jordan Spieth.
Normally staying real focused on the shot at hand and the stuff I'm trying to do in my swing, the mechanical kind of stuff. If you keep your mind on that, it kind of takes away the doubts and just focuses on the one shot.
And that is kind of funny. Okay, so, Cary, again, thank you so much. Really appreciate you sharing this. It's great to talk to you again, and look forward to, hopefully, maybe we can do it again next year, as long as... Oh, my puppy is stretching over here. These are not tropical birds. Hopefully... I'm going to let you out in a minute. We're almost done here. I promise. Cary's going to say goodbye, and then you're going to go outside, okay? Oh, boy.
No worries.
Oh, Cary, thanks. I got to go, Cary.
You got it, Fred. What a pleasure. You have a great day. Thank you so much for having me on. Aloha.
So if you've not looked lately, there's a new short little video on our homepage and at youtube.com/GolfSmarterTV about an experiment that's going on at one of my local courses, Peacock Gap here in Marin County. They are the beta site for a food drone delivery service. Okay, so it's not a flying drone. It looks more like the Mars rover, that kind of drone, but it's a remote control thing. And Peacock says they claim that they won't replace the cart service. No, I'm not going to refer to it as the cart girl, but you can. Go ahead. But it will just allow them to have food and beverage service whenever there's someone playing. Now, obviously, it didn't warrant a full interview for the podcast, and it is more visual than even the most articulate guest can be. So the video is there, and it's only about 1.5 minutes long. But it's a really interesting concept. Check it out. Also, if you're a big YouTube fan, you'll notice that each of our new episodes are also on YouTube as audio-only files. So you can listen to the show, but not have to look at it. Kind of like listening to a podcast, I guess, right? Don't forget to go to tgw.com/golfsmarter for the last chance to save 20% on apparel with a coupon code GolfSmarter at checkout. The exclusive 20% Golf Smarter apparel sale is going to end really soon. You may even be listening to this too late. It ends February 5th, 2019 at 11:59 p.m. Central Time. So take care of that for yourself before you need to go out and buy clothes and go, why didn't I take advantage of that deal? If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at GolfSmarter, or click on the Hey Fred button at golfsmarter.com.